All right, folks, we're live again.
Almost.
Yeah, almost.
It'll happen.
There we go.
Yeah,
Woo!
there we
Hi everyone, we are back. We had technical issues with the other one, but
Yes,
We should
people
probably
will
hit.
hopefully start filing in if they're not
Yeah.
done with us.
right. Real quick, folks. Please donate to my Patreon. You'll help make the channel better. And remember, if you back at a $10 tier level, you get the drawings I actually draw while live streaming. All right. Now we have Jacob, Bill. Correct? Is that correct?
Yeah. I go by JC Beal as my art handle.
Alrighty. And you're going to be talking to us about Beatdown Girl. So let's do this.
All right. So.
Again.
All right.
Go ahead, sir. You got the floor.
All right. So, Beatdown Girl is a graphic novel about this girl named Abigail with robot arms, and she fights big giant robots, and they're usually all like, "We are going to destroy you," but she ends up fighting this red one, and it turns out to be a super perverted robot. And you notice this robot is staring right at her boobs. And that's what the story is about the big red robot staring at her boobs, and it ends up kicking off a whole mystery as to why these artificial intelligences have personalities.
All right.
Yeah, and she fights a lot of robots and comes across a murder mystery, and there's some fantasy elements that revolve around this town called Rivers Town. On the Mississippi River, they got two big dams that basically purify the polluted water and ship that water all across the country. So, like, this city has become like a power hub in this future dystopian America. And and it's got some anti-statist themes, and it's a lot of fun.
Who all's involved?
It's in terms of writing and drawing, it's pretty much me. I'm a one-man show on that. I've brought in some Kubert School alumni to do the coloring. So we got my friend Sarah Madura, who's a great anime artist, and she did the colors on this cover. We got a guy named Nick Capone who does a funny webcomic called Sandy, and he's doing the colors on the other cover. And we got a guy named Peterson Oliveira, who's a really great artist too out in Florida, and he's doing the cover B.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So, what inspired Beatdown Girl?
Her interesting silhouette. I had an assignment. It's so weird having to say all this again, but oh well.
This is life sometimes. We're so sorry.
We're still on the air, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
We're on the air.
Okay.
Baby.
Good this time.
I do apologize again about that. That's the first time that's happened. I'm kind of really embarrassed.
It hasn't happened before. Of course, it happened when we have someone new here.
Yeah, obviously.
Murphy. Yeah.
You guys can blame me. Chat was.
Hey,
Yeah.
I can hear you, Cody. I can hear your voice.
Hey, it fixed
Oh, really?
something.
Yeah, you don't sound like you're far away anymore.
Yeah,
All
you
right,
don't sound
well,
like you
okay,
have
good.
your phone in your
Maybe.
pocket.
That would be a skill.
For sure.
Got something in my pocket.
So I wanted to ask a question here, if you can, JC. I see you have here, and I did back your project, by the way. So I'm really glad to promote your project here. I see here you guys got your own theme song.
Yeah. I wrote a theme song. I used to be a jazz musician in high school, and I got this program that's like Cakewalk. It's a sampling program, and I wrote Beatdown Girl's theme song, and I was like, you know what? I could sell that for $5 on the Indiegogo. So I did.
I think it's a nice little perk. I think one thing a lot of people don't do is, make something special for the project that they're working on. Usually it's like the PDF or this, you know what I mean? Or and I think having the theme song is kind of very unique.
It is, very much so.
Cool.
I don't think I've ever seen a comic have a song available. And we've had a bunch of we've had a bunch of comic Indiegogos pop up.
I actually have a whole script for a musical comic book I wrote called Demon Hunters: The Apocalypse Song, and it's got a dubstep singing fire demon in it too.
Okay, as someone who has a comic idea that also involves demon hunters, I must immediately say that sounds freaking epic.
It does.
So
I take it a little Buffy inspiration.
Yeah. I was watching. I wrote that on the aircraft carrier that I was stationed on, the John C. Stennis, and we had a pretty long trek back across the Pacific, and so I watched all 7 seasons of Buffy, and by the end of that, I wrote my own musical, and it's I turned it into a comic book. So
that's awesome.
That's probably going to be my next project after these 2 volumes of Beatdown Girl. So.
Hey, Timothy's in the chat, guys.
Timothy Lim?
Hey, Timothy Lim.
Yep.
Hey, Tim.
We have a bunny.
Hey, Tim.
The bun.
Hey, I'll shoot him a link. Who knows? Maybe he's got some questions for you. Cause
sweet.
So, have you ever talked to Timothy before?
No, I've heard him talk, and I read My Hero Macadamia, so I mean that was pretty hilarious. So.
Nice.
He's great.
Tim is really great. He's he gives us a lot of inspiration for our group, because he's kind of the I think to me he's one of the great breakout hits along with Rags and stuff like that. So he gave a lot of inspiration for us small people to really get going and do our own thing. And he's got good rapport within the community.
And a good report that he's earned.
Yes.
Oh, definitely. They earned.
Gal, bedtime?
He was talking to the puppy, mind you. I don't go to bed till like 3 a.m.
Just joking. So, JC, another question. I know we were briefly talking about you going to the Kubert School of Cartooning, and I think that's a really interesting aspect you're bringing here with your comic.
It's a lot of. I mean, the school is intense. It's a lot of hard work. If I was doing this Indiegogo during the fall, it wouldn't happen because it's a school where you just are bombarded by assignments. And you have a week to get, you have 10 classes a week, and basically that first week they give you 10 assignments, and you have to have all of them done by the following week, and then or otherwise the work piles up over the term, and if you get too far behind, you get axed from the program. So it's a really intense deadline oriented program, and then by the end though, your drawing gets way better. So I was not that. I mean, I drew a lot on the aircraft carrier, but I wasn't nowhere near any good. And then I got this good just by doing this program. So their method works, but sometimes I think you miss out on some of the fine art teaching that you could get. But you kind of just learn it through doing it and just getting bombarded with work all the time. So it's an interesting approach.
Learn under fire, basically.
Yes, sir.
All right.
So, how much have we gone through that we have to reiterate?
Gosh, I guess. I've already shared the finished or the colored cover, and I'm just working here. So, I wasn't even planning on being here.
Well, we're glad you're here.
Well,
man. Really.
Yeah, yep. Especially with 4 days remaining. We really want to try to get you to those stretch goals here. Congratulations on meeting your goal.
Yeah, thank you, and thank you so much for that. That's great. I mean, gosh, you guys all rock. I don't get why anyone's hating on you guys at all, because.
Well, I think people look at the whole situation from a very skewed perspective. Most of us are very friendly, very nice. There are a few malcontents among us that need to be, to mellow out. But most of us, I would say 99.99%, are just people who want good comics and want this sort of atmosphere that's in the general industry to curb itself. That's all. I'm not going to get too far into it. We're good people. We're good people just like you, and there you go.
Absolutely.
No, dude, it's just one of those, like Slick said best. I mean, we just want to bring back the days when you would open up a comic book and you'd be like an excited 5-year-old, even though you're full grown type deal, because you knew it was going to be a good, captivating story. It was going to have great character progression, and you were just going to have fun reading it.
Yeah.
And that's why we support people like you who are bringing back that feeling of, it's okay to have fun, lighthearted, funny stories. You don't have to have a whole bunch of in-your-face politics, none of that. You can just have fun stories, and that's what we support, is people bringing back those fun stories.
I mean, we're not all the same here. If you have ever seen some of the books out there, we're a wide variety of ideas and approaches. Spork is much more family friendly than say I. Mine is more like in the neighborhood of Sin City, and we believe that everybody has a place to tell our stories, and without fighting and fussing over nicky-picky details of
identity
birth,
politics,
of our birth, our politics, that everybody can get along. I know plenty of people who are left-leaning. I'm a little bit right of center, and I believe everybody has the opportunity to become great. It's just you say certain things, and all of a sudden you're some sort of monster out there who's basically just living your life one day at a time, trying to be the best person you can, and it feels a little harsh sometimes. So anyway, let's get back to talking about your book. I think there's a lot to cover.
Yeah, I think so. I guess I could go over the stretch goals we have.
Let's hear about those.
See here. I'm going to load up the list. I kind of forgot them here. Let me see. Yeah, so we've already hit our $1,700 stretch goal. So the book is going to be on 135-pound cover stock. So it's going to have a nice thick cover, better than that 70-pound stuff Marvel uses. And then
which just kind of rubs off in your hands.
And it's the same stock they use on the interiors too. So I mean, it's not. They should at least go 85-pound like DC does. And then when we hit 2,000, the entire book is going to be colored. It might be more of a flat flat kind of color, just because I'm not going to have a lot of time to do all the renders, and we'll see if I have any. I got some extra funding coming in later in the year that I might be able to pay someone to render it, but that it's up in the air on that. But then that's not. And then but at 2,000, we're also going to have Mike Sellers come in on the at 2,000. We're going to have Mike Sellers, who's an inker from Marvel, come in and ink the poster. So that's an exciting one. I don't know if we're going to reach the 2,700 one. That one is we're going to expand the story a little bit and decompress it, so I don't have to have as much narration in the story, because it is kind of this first volume is kind of putting a lot of information in that 32 pages. So that would basically give me the ability to probably hire an inker also to help ink some of the final pages while I'm busy doing my homework. Mm-hmm. And then the 3,200 is we have an 8-page backup story with a web comics character by a friend of mine, but we're not going to announce that unless we actually meet that 3,200 goal. So
nice, man, nice.
Yeah.
What's your plans? I mean, are you going to extend this? Do you have other things in the pipeline that you're thinking about?
Yeah, I got it set to go to the in-demand store because I need to get this book out. I need to get this book in everyone's hands by December. So I'm going to be basically one of the cool things about the Cuber School is I'll be able to do a lot of these projects as assignments in the class during third year. So the actual graphic design of the book I can do in class, and so I'll be able to
That's
do
helpful.
that. But I don't know if I'm going to be able with everyone else in all these Indiegogo campaigns like going on at the same time. I kind of want to just get to drawing because I don't want to be on Twitter every day and have to,
Well, then
keep up
it's,
with
it's like a second job doing that sort of thing. But
yeah.
if you get a good project out to us, we'll try to help you achieve your goals and maybe a few others after that. That's kind of
Yeah.
Absolutely.
what we're
Yeah,
all about.
and
So.
totally. And I'll leave it on as the online store option. So I mean, as the book becomes finished, absolutely, I'd love to talk to you guys about just getting the book in your hand and having you guys review it and tell me what I messed up on, and then getting people to the Indiegogo store to buy more of it, I guess.
Make yourself a T-shirt. Get some merch for us to throw on it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, no, you definitely sound like someone who would wear a beat down girl T-shirt. So.
Hell yeah!
Oh, I'd be all over that.
we
Now,
know
I got a
Gal would
question for
too.
you. Yeah, it's true.
You give me a beat down girl shirt. I'll buy one from you. You buy one of my Sugar Light Speeds. We'll do business.
It's going to be pink though, so I hope you're all right with that.
I was saying hot pink for my sugar. So we'll see.
Oh God.
Now, I did have a question for you, Jacob.
Yes, sir.
Have you read my book? Are you aware of Jack Irons?
I have read your online.
All right, you read issue 1.
I read issue 1
I
online.
love
yeah.
you already.
Yeah, no, I definitely like your art. It's very cool and cartoony, and you got a good sense of spot blacks and location. Like, yeah,
I'm the writer. I'll butter him up for you, though. I'll butter up my art.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Cool.
I'm the writer creator.
Yeah, I mean, his art seems very Tony Moore-esque, so it's pretty cool. I dig it.
Right on. I just had to ask.
It's great art and it's an excellent story. Cody's got a lot of plans for the future with it.
He's going out there. That's kind of what I was asking about. Beat Down Girl. Do you have any ancillary characters that you think you might grow your universe a little bit, or are you just going to try to go for this single arc?
Yeah, she's part of because of what happened to her with her. She's born part of an aristocracy that controls the city-state, and but because she's ended up with bionics that enhance her strength, she gets thrown in with a cast of super soldiers that are called the Augments that are basically kind of like a group of soldiers that basically the city-state, as the soldiers got injured, they just slap on cybernetic limbs on them and put them back in the fight. And so they basically saved the city-state from the AI wars. But for their trouble, they ended up, they're kind of like symbolic of like some veteran issues. They're basically treated kind of like second-class citizens. And it doesn't help that they actually tried to take over after the AI wars because they had all the combat strength. And so they ended up losing because the city-state had all the guns. And so so they're treated like second-class citizens, and she gets thrown in with that lot just because, she has mechanical limbs like they do. But she's part of the aristocracy, so she has some other privileges, but she's kind of like got a foot in both worlds, both the city-state aristocracy and the Augments. So
interesting, cool.
Yeah.
So have you done like an outline or backstory when you're writing, or you just kind of have a basic premise?
What I got the plot. I got the entire first issue plotted out. And I'm basically doing it Marvel style, occasionally adding a panel here or there just to make the storytelling better. And then I'm going to go back through and do the dialogue because I'm doing a lot of comedy writing with her and the perverted robot and trying to make some of the dialogue witty. So sometimes that kind of happens while I'm drawing, and I'm like, oh, I could turn this into a sight gag or something. So
fun, great. Because I tell you, comics need good comedy lately.
Oh, ain't that the truth?
Yeah, I just hope I don't Chip Zdarsky it and think I'm funny when I'm actually not. Ooh, that'll be terrible.
Well,
I just got blackballed at Marvel. There we go.
Well, you're going to get talked by Dan Slott and the others too.
Although I have to say, Chip has gotten a lot better with his writing versus what he started out with. I don't know what happened, but his original ASM run was no, not funny at all.
I'm not gonna even get into it. I have
like
my cat attacking me now. Excuse me. Why I take care of my cat.
Yep. Does anybody in the chat have any questions?
Definitely. That's what I've been looking for. Come on.
It's mostly just
So
interaction.
Colonel Comics says, comics need comedy? I don't think so.
Right.
Yeah, and I'm sure he ended that with Colonel Comics away.
No, he ain't going anywhere yet.
Oh, well,
He
that's good.
stands only for progressive values, not comedy.
Yeah.
That's right. There's no comedy of progressive
Right.
values.
There is. It just looks like an episode of Teletubbies.
Oh, burn.
Sizzle.
That was
Like the most menacing sizzle I've ever heard.
that one's gonna leave a mark. I'll
Amazing.
tell you.
For real.
So
But
what is one of your favorite comic book characters that you've ever followed? I mean, what title is your favorite?
My favorite title of all time? That's tough.
Give us a litany if you want to go more.
Well, I can tell you what I like that I'm reading now. Terry Moore put out a book called Rachel Rising,
Yes.
and that has amazing art, and the story's pretty compelling. But I'm only on the first volume still, so that one's just beautiful to look at. In addition to being kind of a neat horror story, I don't know how it's going to turn out. It might take a left turn. I'll just be like, wow. But so far, I like it.
Well, with anything with Terry, I'm actually a huge Terry Moore fan. Matter of fact, actually, I just did a review of Motor Girl, and I love Terry's work. His art is just some of the most beautiful stuff to look at. And Rachel Rising is definitely, I don't, because he starts delving into a lot of like religion stuff, and it's a very good series overall. I think. So I will be prepared. I'll just prepare you. You're gonna have a twist. So
Sweet.
Couple questions in chat now. Colonel Comics asks a legitimate question. What's the ideal arc length or issues for Beatdown Girl at the moment?
The ideal one is right now is to I think this will probably be a 2-volume story that'll be a total of 64 pages. But it might go to be longer than that, but because I got other stories, but the primary story is concerned with her family and her past and how it ties in with both basically how the city-state came to power, and also these murders that are happening where people are basically being killed, but their consciousnesses are being uploaded to a computer before they're actually murdered. And so that's kind of what the story is about. So
Nice.
yeah.
Avid comic reader has a question. If you weren't on the GI Bill for art school, would you have put the money into going to art school?
Absolutely not.
There you go.
College these days, I actually I ended up leaving college the first time because my parents got divorced and I wanted revenge on them. But at the time, but I'm 12 credits from a degree in English also, and my thoughts is that it's just so expensive now, and you're not really. I don't know what they're teaching you, but anything you would want to learn, you can learn on YouTube, and so. Like if you wanted to learn how to draw perfect anatomy, you could look at Stan Prokopenko's YouTube channel called Proko. And then if you wanted to learn, if you want to learn about comics theory, there's Shapes on a Page, and there's also Ethan's channel when he's not talking about Star Wars. And so,
that ended now.
And there's also, and there's also there's other online school programs that are relatively cheap. Like, I mean, he kind of messed with people on his Indiegogo, or on his Kickstarter by not delivering. But Aaron Blaze has a great great art website called Creature Art Teacher, and so you could learn how to draw animals of all kinds. I mean, all the resources of what you would want to learn art wise. You know, you can learn online almost better than you could from an art teacher. But the Kubert School is worth it, but it's but I wouldn't go if I had to pay for it myself.
There you go. So Mecha Studios has kind of a follow up on that. So do you prefer to be self-taught?
I'm gonna have to say actually no on that, because a teacher can actually recognize a bad habit if they're experienced enough, and tell you what to avoid, and that can help save you like years of having to train yourself out of bad habits. So
there you go. Okay.
Kubert has a reputation too, so
yeah.
I'm self-taught, so that doesn't bode well for me. But if I have bad habits,
and you gotta whip them out of yourself.
Yeah, gotta whip myself back into shape, or I can have you or Cody do it for me.
Flagellate yourself until you get the anatomy right.
I mean, I guess getting it.
I'm very stylized though, so.
Oh, it got me.
Can you draw? I guess if you can look and draw a photo, you know, then like realistically, in addition to doing what you do, you're probably fine. So.
And
I've been doing that. My problem with that is that it's boring. It's just very, very boring. If I want an image of something that already exists, I'd use a camera. I don't like feeling like a camera.
No, but it does help you teach the basics, though.
I mean,
yes, it does help you learn, and this especially helps when you're drawing from references. You already have those skills, but I will say it's boring as all get 'em.
It's part of the challenge. I mean, would love to get to where I'm drawing more realistically, but at the same time, I'm trying to just get to where I'm drawing consistently good. So, and I'm self-taught.
Little bit by little bit, you'll get there. I believe in you.
Hey,
we believe in you, nerd.
Here's a good general question for basically everybody in here. What books can you recommend on comic writing?
There really isn't one.
Oh, well, there's Sporkman's. Anybody actually have one?
Elements of style.
I think
there's actually a textbook that my sister used in college when she was learning about comics. However, I forget what it was called. I know I read the whole thing in one night, though.
Basically, like any book on writing will help you with comic writing, like screenwriting especially.
Yeah, that's where I went.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna go a little bit out in the left field on this, and I guess the two books I'm gonna recommend. I think the one that that comic person, I can't. Comic gal. I think
person.
I think the one she's thinking of is possibly Graphic Storytelling by Will Eisner.
Will Eisner sounds familiar. Hold on, I'll look it up.
That does sound familiar.
Because that's actually a book that would save Marvel's butt right now, because one of Will Eisner's rules is you don't put more than 28 words in a word balloon.
That's an important rule.
That's an important rule. And then in terms of writing in general, there's a book by Judith Weston called Directing Actors, which is actually a filmmaking book.
Great book.
But that book actually can teach you a lot about writing character, because she has this amazing chapter in that book where she talks about the power of can't. And basically, you can write in a script, the woman cannot take her eyes off this rugged man, right? And that gives an actor a whole bunch of thoughts as to, asking themselves why she can't take her eyes off him, right? So maybe he's got something in his teeth, you know, that gives the actor reasons in their mind to make up stuff in their head so they can make an interesting performance, right? And so you can use tricks from that book, directing actors, you know, to inform your writing. And I think it kind of helps. I don't know if it necessarily helps in comics unless you're also drawing it, but because I don't think a comic book artist necessarily thinks like, oh, why can't she take her eyes off him? Okay, I'll just have her stare at him. You know.
It might help with like certain types of inflection when you're trying to give them a certain type of expression. At least, I mean, that's how I would look at it. But I've always, I think it just goes with the way that people feel more comfortable being creative.
Well, I mean, I've done several types of writing over my years. The thing I've noticed the most about when I write a comic script is that I want to pare down even more than when I wrote a film script, because you want to get everything. It's punchy. You don't want to spend a lot of time on like in detail character development. That comes through the motion of what you're reading, unless you want to do some, you know, day in the life thing or something like that. But for me, that's not what most of us want to read. We want to read things that move at a clip, at a good pace from scene to scene. And then if the scene is informing you, is being, you know, I'm missing a word right now, but establishing the character, you want to have something visually interesting behind that, as opposed to just two people yakking at each other. You want to have texture to each scene, and so that's what I spend my time trying to do with my artists, is say, look, I want something for people to look at, even if it's something banal like them walking across the room. I want something in that room for them to look at, as opposed to just flat backgrounds like you see in Runaways.
Be right back.
Okay, we got dead air.
I found the books. It turns out there's two of them. Books I read through. I read through a combined issue that had both of these. But Understanding Comics and Making Comics by Scott McCloud.
Cool. There you go.
Well, this is had like a comic writing course, I believe, in her English class in college.
Do you know how I could tell I'm getting old? The word I was looking for was expositional, and it just pops into my head now.
Hey, your vocab is still way higher than mine.
Yeah, it's exemplary. There was a time when I was in my 30s that I could just string these long sentences together with like a ton of different, you know, syllables, which is probably it's probably too much for people. But now I have to like claw for them. Anyway, I'm old.
Yeah, see, for like us, what we did, like both my best friend and I, since we're doing Sport Media, you know, we never read any comic books, like in terms of how to write scripts. All our stuff comes from script writing, you know, and writing a script for a film, because that's where we did a lot of our background. You know, we were doing our own film projects and stuff like that, so we just kind of naturally transitioned into comics.
Did you do it from like storyboarding? Because that's kind of where it went for me. Like we'd be storyboarding out a script, and I'd like, this could work just fine if you just put this paneling. You have a comic here, and it works just like that for me. Like I just see it that way. I write it out, and then I see each one as a storyboard. And if there needs to be like an insert or something, I'll put that in there. And if I have to jumble stuff around to get it so that you know, you get enough too many panels in one page, you can like spread it out to another page, or you can do like a splash and then have a full page of 9, or you can even do 12 if you stack it right, you know.
Yeah, and that's really what we did. You know, a lot of this stuff was we were storyboarding everything, you know, for our scripts and stuff like that. So yeah, you know, that was just a very natural progression for us, you know. About the only thing I did in terms of reading books wise, I read a lot of Fritz Lang biographies and stuff like that, because he's one of my biggest inspiration on film. And you know how he did you know, Metropolis and a lot of his other films just really inspired me in terms of how to do storyboarding and what, like I said, bring it over into comics for scenes.
Well, I think the three mediums of novelization, film, and comics, they all can influence each other, because I think that you can with novelization, obviously, you have to cut tons out. But the basic arcs of either short stories or novelization are going to be what you need to do. And I think all of us can agree here that the comics of today have kind of abandoned a lot of that story arc business of going to a cliffhanger and then building, having the dynamics that are there. You go up and then you come back down a little bit, but then you leave it to move on to the next thing, to draw into the reader in a pulp sort of way. And people today, it just, I don't know where they lost that, but it seems to have gone out the window with a lot of people. Anyway, so Jacob, is that how you write, or do you write in a different manner?
I usually write a script. For this one, I wrote a plot, but in terms of writing, like I also have done screenwriting. I did make one B movie while I was in the Navy, while I was on leave, which was a nightmare, but it got finished. But
is it full length? Is it a feature?
No, it's a 35-minute short, which is a terrible length for a short film because no festival will take it. But
yeah, it's stuff that way.
But it was fun. It was like a kind of like a Pulp Fiction-esque B movie that had some witty dialogue and some bright colors and some guns and.
Well, yeah, that sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun, and you can find it on Vimeo. It's called Rarebit, but there's a lot of Rarebit, yeah, but there's a lot of films with that name. But it's about two agents who are like brainwashed to whenever they hear the word Rarebit, they just start shooting everyone in the room, and so it was
what do they call that? Sleep. Okay, there's a name for that.
Yeah, like Pavlovian conditioning.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Sounds like a lot of fun. So, was it a rough shoot? How long did it take you?
That shoot was a 10-day shoot. We had 12 days to shoot. So we had 10 days in case we had weather issues, which we did, and then we had 2 days of backup. And I was producer, writer, and director, so I actually did a lot of planning on that one and made sure I had like call sheets and calendar sheets and everything. So it went pretty smoothly. I hired like 3 assistant directors, so I wasn't freaking out. So it was, and I had 13 actors, and
that's a big cast, dude.
Yeah, well. I didn't like having any narration, so anytime like the voice, or not even narration, but anytime like the voice of a character or a joke seemed out of character in the script, my rule is to bring in a new character that has that voice, and so it doesn't seem out of place for that character. And so that's what I did in that script. And so it's still, I mean, the film is still a hot mess, but it's finished, and and so
did you shoot on digital? What did you use to shoot with?
I shot it with I saved up money in the military, so I got a Blackmagic Cinema camera, and I shot it in RAW to SSDs, and then I actually it's actually in my Indiegogo campaign description too. I actually worked for Adobe for 2 years in their video production tech support department, so I know Premiere, I know After Effects, I know Illustrator, I know Photoshop, so I learned the whole film workflow, so I used my knowledge from working there to do that stuff. So
working films it ain't for the weak.
No, it's kind of hell while you're doing it, but it's also kind of fun at the same time. But
I'm not dissing the enjoyment of it. It's just it's intense if you're doing you go.
Yeah.
So HPG Wellscraft and Sketch Theory both Sketch says I like these faces, I suck at faces, and HPG says faces are actually pretty hard. These are great faces.
Quality faces.
These faces?
He's talking about, yeah.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I used a Square Draw reference photo. I just looked at it and drew this guy, and then her, I just kind of gave her a generic girl face, and I made her lips bigger because she's younger, and then younger than Beatdown Girl, and then yeah. So I don't know. Loomis. If you look up Loomis's books, they're really good for drawing heads and faces. So Andrew Loomis.
All right.
Yeah.
Real quick, I'm thinking about us going till about midnight here, so about another 20 minutes. Is that cool with everyone?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Fine with
Yeah, I'm
me.
good at that. I'm probably still gonna be inking.
I'm currently writing some stuff while I'm talking to you. So
I'm modding and actually enjoying it.
I'm glad.
Giving the jack boot.
I'm,
you should be writing, Cody.
I'll admit, I've been.
Oh, I
getting
got my
really-
script 2 in. I'm done for today.
But
Nerd's trying to make a comment.
no, I was just saying that all I'm doing is listening to y'all ask questions because they're all good questions and working on my drawing. Like,
All right.
So dollar, what is this thing going on with Tyrants and you? Because it keeps coming up, and I gotta hear.
Yeah.
it.
Sorry.
I
It's
gotta hear
been
from the bear's mouth.
it has been distracting me like this entire stream. It's been going on.
Exactly. That's what I've been kind of curious about.
It started up.
dealio?
It started up as soon as I jumped on the stream tonight, and it's been going on this entire time in the background. I'm not. Yeah, I haven't even responded in like I think an hour. Yeah. But all right. So here I'm gonna. It's just let me clear my throat. It wouldn't be a story without a cough at the beginning. All right. So when I started my channel about a month ago, something like that, he approached me. I hadn't really gotten to know anybody yet. So I just figured, hey, there's a comic guy, and he wants to send me a comic to review. I'm a lucky person. And I was feeling happy about it. And I looked at the comic, and I'm like, I'll get you a review by tonight. And I was all gung-ho. I was like, somebody sent me a comic. I'm going to review that comic so much. And I did. I reviewed it. And I found myself not enjoying the comic. So I should have had the presence of mind to ask him, are you sure you want me to review this? Because now that's what I do all the time when people send me something. And especially, like, I just make it known. I'm like, this, do you want me to put up a review if it's negative? Because I'd rather just put up no review rather than a negative review, unless you feel like it's going to help you improve. And everybody else, most people, they'll just be like, yeah, could you not put up a negative review? And I'm okay with that. I'd rather put up nothing than a negative review nowadays. But I don't, basically them sending me a comic for free doesn't guarantee that I'm going to give it a positive review is the main thing that I always want to drive home with people. It doesn't mean I'm going to like it. I just appreciate that people are reaching out to me and think I'm more accessible than some of the big reviewers. So long story short, nobody that ever says that makes the story any shorter. But I made the review, and the review I thought came out okay. It ran on a little long, but I hadn't really gotten my review legs yet, like I do in my newer videos. A month has gone by. That's a whole lot of time in internet time.
right.
But yeah. So I released the review. I was trying to find a lot of good things to say about it, and I was padding a lot of what I said in the compliment sandwich that they teach you about. You got to say a nice thing, negative thing, nice thing. You pad them together. And I was doing that for a lot of the things, and I'm just at the end, I felt like I had ripped them apart because it's just New Jersey, so I'm a little more blunt with a lot of the things I say. When something doesn't make sense, I called them out on it. There was an action scene with soldiers, and the soldiers were facing the wrong direction. And I'm like, how are they fighting? This doesn't make any visual sense. Little things like that, but I was trying to be really nice about it. But the comic wasn't worth $1, which is what he priced it on the cover. So I released the review, and I ended it with saying, everything I say is because I want you to be as competitive as possible. If you can't handle what I'm going to say, you're not going to be able to handle what professional publishers or any of the actual professionals are going to say to you, because they're going to rip you apart. It's unfortunately the world is like that. And every profession I've gotten in, I worked in Florida and New York City. New York City, every day I would hear things that would make me want to just crawl into a corner and die. It's some of the worst stuff. And being an artist, you kind of, you feel like you're giving your baby out to people and they're just juggling the baby around, like that scene in Mother. Spoiler alert, they do that, and that's a weird movie. But yeah, it's so, I
Come
spoiled.
on, man. You don't like baby juggling? Come on.
I'm not a huge fan of baby juggling. It's all about context. But yeah, so
He's all about
again,
the kitten juggling.
again, long story short, like he didn't reach out to me at all. Didn't give the video a thumbs down, to his credit initially. He just didn't say anything to me. He just politely unfollowed me, and I thought I was done with him. And initially, I just took that as a sign. I'm like, all right, he didn't like the review. He doesn't want to reach back out to me. In a way, I should just take the review down. So I set it to private. And about like a week, something like that went by. And then I see him arguing, and I think it was Umbrella Guy, one of his threads, just yelling at him, saying the community's attacking him. One of my followers was nice enough to send me the original thread. I got it somewhere. But yeah, he just goes off on this thing about how we're a hateful community and, the whole spiel. Everyone else is like, what's going on? And so I jump in because he's mentioning me directly without mentioning me. So I'm like, hey, I made you a review and I was trying to help you out. And I just think that the main point I was trying to make was that he has to, what was that? I heard something weird.
Oh, that was me trying to stand up and sit down somewhere because my leg fell asleep. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, that's good. No, it's a good point because we're doing these long streams, and sometimes the sedentary lifestyle can catch up with you. You got to get the blood flowing still.
Oh,
Very
shoot.
important.
That's right. I have to get up. Oh,
let's all stretch for a second.
You don't want
Stretch break.
I was just sitting cross-legged on the floor with a giant
right.
wooden plank in my lap, inking on it. So
That's important.
stretching. I went and grabbed a beer. I don't know what you guys are talking about.
That's just as important. There you go.
Gotta stay hydrated.
So yeah, we argued for a little while initially, and then he disappeared, and I hadn't heard from him again until today. So I went back and followed him, just to see what's going on with him. Not a great deal. He's just releasing more comics, and he backpedaled and said I was a liar about a lot of things, and I'm just a failed artist that rips people apart because I can't actually make any, just a lot of like hurtful things. He attacked the way that I speak, and I have a little confusing.
You are a beautiful speaking voice.
Thank
I
you.
love it. And you got great timing. And
Yeah,
your
it's,
deadpan is excellent. Your deadpan is killer.
Thank you so
Right.
much.
Lethal.
I appreciate it. It's,
I think you're wonderful, Dollar.
I'm worried that he still, even to this day, I'm just so worried about that he like really didn't. He just focused on all the negative things that I said, or any of like the constructive criticism as an attack against him, and he didn't really focus on any of the other stuff that I said. And still, like nobody got through to him. And all this time, I've just been getting. It's been so distracting on the stream. I'm getting on my phone all the little tweets that are popping up, and then everybody's response to the tweets. And I've maybe said like 4 things this entire time.
Well, here's the thing. Like,
Yeah.
I don't mean to cut you off here. I've spent a long time in writers groups, and we go into writers groups to be really not harshly critiqued, but intensely critiqued. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You want your writing to be, you want it to be polished, and you want people, when you put it forth before somebody, that you're not putting a piece of dog shit in front of them. The thing is if this guy puts something out there without having somebody vet it, I mean, literally, this is a vetting, and then he asked you to do it, but you're also giving him constructive criticism. Look, I've listened to you talk. I don't think you're the type of guy to roast the shit out of somebody, but also say nice things about him. He's got to hear both. And if he can't hear the other end, like you did this well, but you need to do this differently, then it's on him. All right.
Yeah.
And him saying, and him saying, my feelings have been hurt. Well, who cares about your feelings?
You're putting this out here into the world, and if you can't take it, you won't be able to take it. You might as well stop now, because there's going to be somebody come along that's going to be way worse. Like you said before, way worse is going to go, why the fuck did you even do this? You're fucking garbage. That's what they're going to say.
Yeah, it's really absolutely. It's
there's going to be somebody that goes, you should kill yourself. You know, it's the internet. I mean, if you can't handle somebody going, this is illogical here, you might want to think about this. Why, you know, directionality doesn't work here. That is good criticism.
Yeah.
And if you can't handle that, that's on him. That is on him.
That just hurts in a way, and I really wish that it didn't bother me so much. But the main thing that hurts is that, like, he started a campaign at the same time as Jack Irons. It could have been really successful if he had actually taken, you know, stuff to heart and crafted his comic. And it's just really sad stuff to see somebody that is gonna think that it's the same thing that we complain about with the big creators, with you know, all the big publishers. They're thinking that the reason that their comics are failing are from these outside sources that are coming to sabotage them, and not from their own failings as a creator. So it's, you know, everybody has to take that, like, deep introspective look at their own failings and be honest with themselves why they failed at something. And I was trying to impart that to him in my review, and all he took it at, he just threw it back at me. And he's just like, all you talked about was being a failed artist. I'm like, no, I was trying to talk about how when I failed, it taught me something. And
and here, there's the thing though. If you haven't failed in your life in the prosecution of success, then you're not. I mean, nobody just has it handed to them. It takes time. It takes you getting a lot of knocks to get anywhere in anything. It doesn't matter whether we're doing comics or whether you're, you know, learning how to lay cement. Yeah. It's going to take some mistakes, and you're going to make it, and you have to redo the whole thing. I mean, it's just how it is. And if you can't take a small thing, saying like you might want to make an adjustment here and an adjustment there, and then it'll be golden. That's just, I mean, seriously, you know what I'm saying?
I mean, to basically make it so you don't have to actually sit through my original review, the main thing that I said to him, and I thought this was a good thing, because he sent me a comic that was 3 comics in one. So it was just, I thought, you know, like a anthology series where you would have every issue would be the continuation of some separate storylines. Right. And normally that can work if each one of the comics is solid. If the ideas aren't quite as solid, you can almost feel like you're stretching yourself too thin. And so I told him to take each of those ideas and make a single comic out of just that idea. So, like, really polish, either, like, just pick one, really, and just pick that one and run with it. Because just having 3 in one comic, you don't feel like you're there long enough to really get invested in any of the stories.
That's actually good advice.
Yeah, so but it just it didn't come out quite as, I guess, articulate as I'm doing it now, because I was still kind of finding my voice as a channel. I hadn't even done the Jack Irons review yet. This was like probably, like, I think my 3rd review on the channel after a couple. Yeah, which is usually where the 3rd one ends up. But yeah, it's it was a tough time. Like, it still bothers me, and I'm trying not to let it bother me. But that was like let it
roll off your back. I mean, it is what I mean. The internet's
going to be the internet.
Yeah, sad panda.
Oh yeah,
definitely sad panda.
Sad panda, sad. But no, straight from the comments.
You're gonna review my book, man. I
appreciate it.
And straight from the comments, dude, like Sketch Therapy said, reviewers got to review. If they don't do it right, no one will listen. Pros can't be butthurt. That's unprofessional. As a customer, I don't like soft reviews or butthurt equal professional pros.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. And it's, definitely.
I'll send you Beatdown Girl when I'm done. I just might cry in my pillow. You know.
Yeah, I mean, everybody since then, I've been pretty upfront that, like, I'll you know, I will put up a review if it's positive. I'll give you the option to, if you would rather, because a lot of people are, they're really putting this out there. A negative review could really negatively impact them. So I would rather just say nothing as opposed to give negative reviews these days.
That's a nice service too, though. I mean, if you do have some detractions that you say, well, maybe you don't want to have this put out here until you fix them. I mean, that's a nice service that you're doing somebody and allowing to. But if a person says, no, I'll just go and roast me, and broadcast it, well, that's on them again too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean,
I didn't expect this. I just didn't expect it from somebody that he came to me. I didn't even ask him for anything. Like, I don't remember ever talking to him before. He just said, hey, review this comic. I'll retweet it to my followers. I went on his page. He's got like 15,000 followers. So I don't know if any of those people are real, because he never gets a like on anything that he posts. So when I actually did some digging into his other Twitter handle, the guy that owns the company, it's like, yeah, it was like all that was on his page was him beating up somebody at a Wendy's, and it didn't look like a real beating up somebody at Wendy's video, because I've seen a few of those. They're like, it was weird, and he just, the way that he wrote the description, he was like, I was pulling my punches on purpose, and I like that. That's a weird thing to say in your title if you're beating up somebody at Wendy's video. And just in general, the whole situation just rubbed me as very strange, and I'm just trying not to engage him anymore.
Well, it's probably the best plan.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. It's scary that he knows my name, because my name's out there. Like, if you look hard enough, you can figure out who I am. But all of our information's out there in the ether.
Yep.
But it's one of those things. I knew stuff like this was going to happen. I can't really act like I didn't. But I guess I just didn't expect it from somebody that I thought was within the community. I was still kind of figuring all that out. But it was just very strange that he. I don't. I'm
sorry.
I'm without words. It's okay. But yeah, I'm sorry I've been so quiet tonight. On top of that, my latest review for The Mold, the Moldy comic restoration video, YouTube projected it for some reason. I think it had to do with I possibly lost internet for a second while the stream was up, and it just switched over to my phone data. But yeah, I don't think I have internet right now, so it's all good. I'll try uploading that again in the morning. But it came out pretty neat. It was a neat video, all things considered, and I hope people get some enjoyment out of it. There's just a 50s comic that I got, and it had some mold damage on the inside. So somebody gave me some remedies of how to maybe, just turn the tide against the spores. So I've been engaged in that all day today.
Wait, against the sporks?
Spore war.
What did Spork?
Yeah.
Sporkman do?
No, not the spork.
Oh.
The spores. Like that video game. Remember that video game? Yeah.
Spore? Yeah.
Yeah. That was a video game.
That was a thing.
Yeah, it was basically like, it looked like there had been water damage on the comic. So there was like a little bit of disgusting pebbly growth on the inside.
Ew.
So I'm not really sure what to make of that. But as a kid, I was like Chucky from Rugrats. Same voice, but I just looked like Chucky from Rugrats. And then, it's a good picture. I was practically a bubble boy. I was allergic to everything. So when I see stuff like that, I'm just like, oh, it's a fungus among us. And yeah. A lot of comics got thrown away that way. So I wanted to figure out a way to restore it, and maybe that'd make a fun video for everybody to watch. And maybe I destroyed it. Possibly, because the method I used.
You'll have to watch the video to find out.
Yeah. I mean, you won't believe what happened. But yeah, the title is going to be.
The comic turned into a Bible.
Yeah,
an old Bible.
Yeah,
a Gutenberg Bible.
Oh man, absolutely.
Did it turn into like the Mormon holy text or something?
Yes.
The Ten Commandments.
We'll definitely have to watch to find out. What I did to the comic, though, the title of the video is going to be "Freezing a Comic Book," and that's essentially what I'm doing to combat the mold. Is I made the comic into an ice cube.
Wow.
That can only end well, I'm sure.
Yeah, exactly. Like, how could that go wrong?
So Jacob, how do you like our stream so far?
It's great. I don't know. I'm new at this whole streaming thing, so it's really entertaining. I almost feel like I'm I'm watching YouTube, but I'm here with you.
Exactly.
Yeah,
That's
we're
the fun.
And
for the most part. Sorry.
I'm still, probably any one of us who streams will probably say the same thing. You are always welcome.
Yes.
Oh, absolutely.
Definitely.
Yes. And
Yes, sir.
it is now 12:01, so let's start giving everybody's pitch. Jake, since you are the guest of honor, please.
Woohoo! All right, so let me bring it back up. So, Beatdown Girl number 1. We are at 17. Oh, maybe it's changed since we've been on the stream here. Let's see.
1840.
1861.
Yep.
Holy cow! Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you so much. Yeah, we're at 1851. We are now. I guess that makes us $149 away from getting Mike Sellers to ink the poster and making the entire book in color. So thank you guys so much. I think we might actually get there by the closing day. So and also
buy the book.
Well, how would you like to do like we did Jack's Irons, the Steel Cowboy, where a couple days before we have you on and we really push that comic hard?
That sounds great. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'll be there.
Yes. I mean, it's one of those, be warned, your comic may end up being memed. I'm just saying.
Yeah, and just to finish the pitch, it's a murder mystery and about a girl with robot arms who fights a perverted robot that sends her on a journey to discover that the AIs she's been fighting are not necessarily what she thought they were.
And who doesn't like a perverted robot?
Alrighty.
Yeah.
Or a girl with robot arms.
All right.
Yes, exactly.
And next up, we'll go ahead and go with you, Comic Gal.
Oh, me. Our nice special. All right. I
You're
am
so
that.
special.
Slick. I am that comic gal on both here on YouTube and over on the Twitter. Feel free to check me out. Feel free to give me a follow if you think I'm worth following. You can also find me over on Patreon, where you are basically supporting me, who's currently only living by commissions.
And she does sexy booties. Sexy booties.
Yeah. Sexy
And
ladies
links
in
in
general.
chat.
And so you people can find her Patreon very easily. Here we go.
Already did it, man.
Oh, you are a boss.
I did that before.
Cody beat you to
I
it.
beat you to the beat down, and I beat you to the booty.
Yes, you
You gotta
did.
be faster.
Oh my
Beat
god.
down the booty. Beat down the booty.
They're all butt related. on my what's it called?
Patreon. Your tears.
Yeah, all my tiers. I keep forgetting that word. I've never had a Patreon before. All my tiers are butt related because that's just become a thing on Twitter at this point. So feel free to give me a look.
Do it.
Alright. Next up, Sporkman.
Well, please support Sporkman. We are on Comic Central and Indie Planet. Our comic is in print right now, and we're getting ready to do our Indiegogo starting in September. We have possibly secured a possible colorist for the Japan issues. But I can be followed on Twitter and also on YouTube, both at Sporkman Studios.
All right. Next up, Cody, you're up.
Oh, finally. Okay. Finally, I get my own time to shine here. All right. I'm Cody Fernandez. I also have a Patreon if you guys want to check that out. I write and have created Jack Irons, the Steel Cowboy, whose whose campaign just finished a couple days ago. I'm running extended in demand for till about next Friday. Trying to get these books out in bulk to comic shops. So contact me in Wiki Publishing if you think you have a comic shop that might be interested. Also, you can still pick up your own copies if you missed during the campaign for this short time. $25 and up gets you both issues fully colored with 5 pinups shipped right to you as they complete, and get ready for going. Follow me on Twitter to keep up with that.
Aw, we could have gotten Tim in. Like he's like, Yes.
Oh.
All right, hold up. Who wants to go for a little bit longer so we can get Tim in?
Yeah, let's get Tim in.
I can stay on until about slightly after 1 a.m.
Yeah.
So
It's
I
Sunday
gotta-
tomorrow, so all I got is church.
you got work tomorrow, Cody?
I'm set. Yeah. No. I'm fine.
Okay,
I
Yeah, I just gotta
forgot
grab
what
a
I was gonna
drink.
say. I'm just really, really damn tired.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I just saw that and I was like, oh.
No, we gotta get Tim in if he's gonna come
Yeah.
and grace
Yeah,
us with
bring
his
in Tim.
furry presence.
Yeah,
Bring in
it's
Tim.
We should really enjoy
Yes,
it.
yes. I
We just
didn't
gotta
get
keep him away
to
from
talk
the
to him
bear.
last time he was here.
yeah. The
Got
bunny and the
Tim.
bear is not a good combo usually,
We
except
got
for
the
that
Tim.
band at one time.
We got the Tim Lim.
This,
Got the Tim Lim.
I look at it as it gives me an opportunity to draw some more. So
Yeah,
Right
just
on.
I'm
Nice.
still
Right on.
inking.
burn that midnight oil.
I don't got nothing planned till about 12 o'clock tomorrow to do an O2 sensor on my car, but other than that,
There we go.
Yes, the bunny has landed.
The bunny man, the bun man.
I can't
how
say
you
much,
doing,
but
Tim?
I'm fine. How are you?
Hey, Tim.
We're
Hey.
glad to have you here, man.
Howdy.
Like we were actually about to wrap it up, and then I saw your DM, and I was like, "All right, guys, it's Tim.
Yeah.
We have to extend."
We
The
need
doors
have
stay
to get
open.
we need some thump.
I got
That's
my
what we need.
pitch in. I was
Well,
happy.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm going to be joining Yellow Flash and the Umbrella Guy here on. They're going to do a roast of Plan 9 from Outer Space that I'm supposed to join in about 20 minutes. So I just thought I'd dip in real
perfect.
quick.
Hey, we're glad
Perfect.
to have you, man. We're glad
Yeah.
to
Sound
have
great.
Party people here, huh?
you.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Always.
yeah,
Got
so
Tim.
we have
We bring the
JC
flavor and we
from
bring the
Beatdown
funk,
Girl.
you know?
What?
Yeah, too many
We're all talking.
I said we bring the flavor and we bring the funk, but then somebody said something else. So
Yeah, I said that we have JC from Beatdown Girl here.
yeah.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, Jacob, huh?
Hey, yeah, you keep ending up in the chats, but we haven't talked yet, so it's good
Yeah,
to see you.
I was in the chat that you were doing with Marmaduke fan while you were drawing the other night. That was really cool.
Right on, sweet.
Yep. Figured we'd give you a chance to come in, say hi to everybody, because we don't get to talk to you all that much.
So how was,
I didn't get to talk to you at all last time, so I'm glad you showed up.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
no
no
problem.
problem. I'm a night owl, so honestly, I don't go to bed until 2
Ah,
or 3 in the
same.
morning. So
3 a.m.
actually-
for bedtime.
yeah, it was actually kind of funny because I just saw I was just clicking on random links and I just saw Nerd Over 30. It was like live, and I was like, oh sweet, let's jump into this. So I was listening to you guys for a little bit and trying to multitask, and then I saw that you guys had actually sent me a link. So that's awesome.
well, we're generally
Always
we're
welcome.
generally full of shit. So
We all are. That's the fun of live streams is you just want to goof off. There's
Right.
nothing wrong with that.
so how's Black Ops doing, man? It looks good. I
Oh.
got my copy ordered.
Yeah, Black Ops is doing really great. What I
Hell
like
yeah.
about it is obviously it's a mainstream book, so it's not political at all. We made that book because honestly, we were so used to doing the political books that we were like, basically people kind of dared us. They said, well, if it weren't for like Trump, you probably wouldn't sell anything. So we were like, okay, well, we'll try it. We'll come up with something that's not really a political book and see how it goes. So it's actually doing very, very well. So we're happy that people seem to be liking it.
Definitely.
Sorry, I have a question, Tim.
Yeah, sure.
I missed. I don't know if you did a crowdfunding for it, but if you did, I missed it. So, if possible, is there any other way to get the book?
Yeah, it's not crowdfunded. It's actually out through your local comic stores. And so
Okay.
actually, if you
right?
yeah, Antarctic is selling it. So I know you can get it directly from Antarctic. You can still check with your local comic book stores if they can just raid the Diamond warehouse and just have Diamond ship one over. They might have some overstock. So as far as I know, it's not completely sold out. I know it's sold out at Midtown in New York, which is that's kind of big because it's like the biggest comic store I think on the Eastern Seaboard. So
Right on.
Good job.
Congratulations.
yeah, it's really cool.
Gal, if you want to send Tim money, I'm sure he has a Patreon. Just send it on
I
over.
I do not have a Patreon. I don't know. People have been telling me to set up one. I'm kind of a Luddite when it comes to new technology, so I wouldn't even know where to begin and perks
Come
and
on,
stuff
man.
like that. So
I
Come on.
caved because I had tier ideas.
Put that
Oh.
Patreon up. Put hit that Patreon up. Shake that money maker. We'll make a ring for you, baby.
I wouldn't even know what to do. Like, do you draw stuff, or I have no idea how those things work.
Yeah.
Depends on what you want to do.
Yeah.
And
I guess.
real quick, while I'm thinking about it, Tim, congratulations on Trump's Space Force, man.
Yeah.
Oh, thank
Oh
you.
yes,
Yeah.
I backed the hay out of that thing. Well, I don't have much money, so I just normally backed it. But if I had money, I would throw more money at it.
Well, we appreciate it, and I think there's one thing that actually makes that book kind of unique. It's a whole team. So even though it seems like it's a high price point, it's the idea that your average comic book put out by Marvel and DC costs about $10K to make. I mean, that's paying your letterer, your artist, your writer, your inker, your penciler. So we are actually recreating that. I mean, we have a full team: writer, artist. Well, I'm artist and inker, and then you have Brett Smith doing colors. I'll do the lettering too. Dave Dorbin, he did the cover. So we actually have it's a big ground operation. So just imagine that. Obviously, if you donated, you're paying the whole team, not just like one or two people. So we appreciate it, obviously. And I know that a lot of you guys.
That's the same thing I'm doing.
Yeah.
Just for a much smaller budget.
It is. And, you know, with Mark and I, all of our books so far were basically done by two people, me and him. Brett occasionally would help, and he was definitely helpful on the editing and the publishing side. But I'm so used to small man operations that this is really daunting. I mean, it's almost overwhelming, but we're getting by. So we're really happy that we can get any support that we can. And we've had some people who have said, well, all of these Indiegogo projects, they're all like backed up like a train, and I can't afford X, Y, and Z right now. And I've been telling everyone, I said, you don't have to. If you retweet or share, that is enough. And all I've ever wanted was friends. And I know it sounds really sappy, but I tell people, I said, my day job is I'm a professor. I can pay my bills okay. This is fun. This is like a hobby. And what I've enjoyed the most is just hanging out with people and making friends. I mean, like Mark and I worked in the industry for 5 years, and we did not make a single friend working in the industry because that's how toxic it was. So being able to actually like get together and talk to people, I think that's the most rewarding thing. Kind of like what you guys are doing right now.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
Right. And just so you know, I'm doing an interview with Brett R. Smith tomorrow, so that's going to be fun to watch.
He is going to be busy. He's going to have 2 interviews tomorrow. You're going to have him, and I think he's going to do Douglas Ernst too at some point. So he's going to be a busy man. But yeah, Brett and I, we will talk to anyone. We are not shy people at all.
That's a good thing, though.
It is. It is.
And honestly, I kind of feel you on the friends thing, because I basically only had one friend until I was in college.
Yeah, it's tough because you know how it is with in comics culture. Most people think it's very left-leaning, and so I think because everyone thinks that's we just keep our heads down and we don't really talk to anyone.
You have to hide.
I know, and then it turns out like we have some friends who are definitely not conservative, but they're cool people, and we talk like normal human beings, and those are the people that I like interacting with. I like talking about comics and what we're reading and stuff like that. And obviously, even if you go on those other live streams by people like Umbrella Guy or Yellow Flash, heck, they don't even talk about comics 99% of the time, but they end up venturing off into other topics because it's just fun. We get along by talking about things that we like.
Yeah, we want a little bit too.
We do it too.
Well, we found kind of our little group in a weird way, which is absolutely wonderful. I love our little group.
Well, I like you guys too, and what I really like is, and like I think I told this to the Ferryman, I told this to Sean Campbell. I read the Ferryman, and I saw that he was up, so I messaged him and I said, hey, I'm not yanking your chain, but I literally read 5 independent projects back to back, and I said there is not a single one that I wouldn't give an endorsement to, because I think what is important is that the work itself, you can actually show that it took time and it took a great deal of passion to do. And that's one thing about like modern Marvel books, for example. There's no passion. I mean, you read those books and it's like these people didn't even try. You can tell that they didn't try.
They're anemic. That's what they are.
Yeah.
Right. And all you have to do, I mean, I've read books where like the art wasn't that great, but just by the story alone, like I would give it high praise simply because you can see it. You can see like this is an honest work, and that's what people like. They want to know that you're honest when you do stuff, and that's why I'm really excited, because obviously like let's see. It is July now, and I mean, I remember when I started on Twitter. It was back in, it was in February of 2017, and that I started, and we only had like one follower, and we had to build it up, and it sucked. Don't get me wrong, that part was the hardest, but we did it, and it was just little by little. You just kind of chip away at it, and then everyone just helps each other, and that's really cool. So I'm glad to see that we have so many cool people doing their own projects now. So
well, I've been hearing the word out there that basically it's kind of a comics renaissance in a way that we're having right now, and I think that's really a amazing thing because we're seeing new stories, new ideas, and a lot of fervor, at least within our kind of our set. That it's exciting. Edwin was saying that it's an exciting time for us to be in this, and we should enjoy it. So.
Yeah, and I think what else people will see is the more. I mean, what I like. So I don't know who it is, but someone has been taking each individual crowdfunding campaign and just putting the numbers together. So instead of like isolating like the top 3, they just list everyone, and they're saying this is the cumulative number of money that has been generated from like very low amounts to very high amounts. And it's like, instead of just focusing on 1 or 2 people, look how this network has been able to do this. And you can't help but think that there's someone up there who is looking at this and saying, yeah, we need to start paying attention to these people. We need to start hiring from these people, because these guys are obviously the ones who customers want. The people that we have right now, you're just not selling, So I do agree with the idea of it being a comics renaissance of sorts. At least we're passionate. Like, this stuff that we make it because we want to, not because a corporate overlord is telling us to.
Or even for money.
Yeah, I mean,
well, most of us
I
just kind of want to go.
I have no illusions about money. I mean, just for Whiskey Pen alone, I'd like it to make money, because for him, the amount of money that he gets is a significant amount of money compared to what it would be to me,
right?
Because of where he lives, and that's my main motivation. But I'd love some success too. But I have a limited demographic because of the subject matter.
Right.
But I think everybody has their own niche that they can find out here, which is great.
Yeah, absolutely. You always cater to your audience. I mean, that's the one piece of advice I give everyone is when you make a book, if you're making it for yourself, that's fine. But if you're trying to reach people, you have to understand kind of who you're going to try and pitch it to. And I think that obviously, talking to a lot of you guys, you know exactly who you're going to aim for. And so everyone kind of has a very instinctual knowledge of who they're aiming for when you write this stuff. But I just think it's just really neat. Every day when I log in on social media, I just see like one cool idea after the other. And I think the haters on the other side, I think they're just fuming. I mean, we're like that house with the that's really loud on the block, and they're kind of like these people across the street complaining that the noise is too loud.
This is true. This is true.
Very good way to describe it.
That's one thing that's great about this community is that you look at the Indiegogo page and no project is like the other. Like, there's not really one where there's too much crossing over. So there's something for everyone there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the more we help each other, the more it's kind of like that rising tide lifts all boats mentality. So I'm really happy to see that everyone's making friends and inroads and stuff like that.
We ain't afraid of crossovers, I'll tell you that right now.
Nope.
What'd you say?
We ain't afraid of crossovers, I'll tell you that.
Oh, no, absolutely not. I love it. It started kind of as a gag with My Hero Macademia. I just started putting people in there, and people loved it. They liked the idea of popping up in a comic. Yeah, and I said, no, we're gonna keep on doing it. Like, if people
fun.
like it, yeah.
Well, when I cracked open, I hadn't seen it before My Hero Macademia, and nobody I hadn't seen anybody talk about it. So when I got it, I was like, these look familiar. Did he put he did, oh my gosh, that's Captain Cummings.
Yeah, yeah, and I think Troy Wanpool. I mean, he put Thump in his book too, and he asked me. He was like, "Can I do that?" And I responded to him. I was like, "You don't have to ask me. I'm gonna be flattered if you do that. I don't even care if you kill my character off. I'll still take it as a badge of honor. I mean, I could read a Marvel book tomorrow where Kamala Khan like rips my character's head off, and I will still be happy because I'm like, but you did think of me.
But you have heard of me,
right? But you have heard of me.
It would be so sad. It'd be like Watership Down. Oh.
Oh no!
Oh no! Do not mention Watership Down.
No! I just think of that scene with them crawling in the tunnel.
No, I do not need to think about that with his adorable little bunny Trump avatar.
I'm a bastard.
Now my heart hurts. How dare you?
Yeah, you heard us, Slick.
That movie's hard to watch.
And
it is. It's very hard to watch. Especially if you're like me and you've actually had pet rabbits before.
Yeah, I have 5, so I don't take it very well. But I have a pretty strong. I have a pretty strong fortitude. I've actually seen it twice. I actually have it on DVD. It's a good movie. It's just kind of tough.
Yeah, that's a heavy movie.
You're stronger than I am, my friend. You're stronger than I am. Cannot even sit through it once.
Old Yeller, you know, it's just tough.
Yeah.
So much blood.
All right. But no, all I gotta say though is you and a lot of the other guys who are doing Indiegogos right now, that you really do inspire a lot of people. Like, prime example, myself, I've been drawing a lot and posting the pictures on Twitter, and it's like the feedback that y'all have helped create within the community, where the encouragement of the writing is just so refreshing, and you know, the drawing and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, we all try, man. We all love seeing this community flourish and grow.
Yeah, absolutely, and everyone's just everyone encourages each other. There's not really at least the people I associate with, there's not really like a pedestal or anything, and I like that because even by nature, I'm not a competitive person. I've never been competitive. I never played sports or anything like that. I was the type of person who just liked to doodle on paper, like in the back of the classroom, and my friend and I would just pass off silly doodles to each other, and so I like it whenever we can goof off and just hopefully over time get feedback and draw better and create things that people want to read. That's really what this all boils down to, and that's what we want, right? We just want better comics. That's all it really aspires to.
They can't if Marvel can't give it to us, we'll make them ourselves.
Exactly, my man. Exactly.
Yep.
Now that comic gal, are you working on anything? I know I've seen that you did some work for Rags, but I don't know if you were working on something independently.
She is. Tell us about it.
I am. It's not that exciting as of yet. Currently, I'm working on a giant commission that I am not allowed to tell anyone about yet. But
okay, cool. Wait, no, never mind. I think I've actually seen it. I think someone leaked it, but that's okay. I'll keep it a secret.
I don't know who leaked it. I haven't shown any images of it to anyone except for one.
Never mind.
Commissioner.
then someone showed me something that wasn't yours then, but it was kind of neat. So I'll still keep it a secret.
I will say that let me think. The story I am working on it's still a work in progress. I want to make sure it's kind of good enough to display to everyone without me being completely embarrassed with myself. Especially
I'm drawing on camera, so I don't know what you're doing. It probably looks 10 times better than what I'm doing right now. So
I don't know. You're just kind of resolving really fast. So
yeah, you're going incredibly quickly. I'm an incredibly slow inker. That's actually one of my #1 concerns. I'm very slow.
I have to have 32 pages done by September 5th, so otherwise it's going to get into my homework.
No pressure.
Yeah, no pressure.
Stay strong.
Pressure.
I got this.
Pressure coming down on me.
So, no, but I at least wanted to let you know another thing Gal's working on too is she's actually going to be doing the cover for the Sporkman Goes to Japan collection.
Yes, I'm so looking forward to that.
Cool. When does that launch, Sporkman?
We're doing it mid-September probably, because I know a lot of stuff going on in August, so kind of want to, and I'm going to China for a week, so mid-September is about the time we're going to be doing it.
Yeah, that's good. That gives you at least about 2 months leadway to get started.
Yep.
Nice.
Plus, I know a lot of people were complaining their pocketbooks. I'm like, I'll hold off for a little bit. Everybody's pocketbooks are like, I'm hurting. I'm like,
Oh,
it's gonna hurt too.
It's rough. It's rough. Like let's see, I funded 5 projects last week, and then this week I'm actually holding off. But I want the next one I'm going to do is Punchline. Punchline looks really good. I know the guy who's doing it, Matthew Weldon, great guy. But you know, it's one of those things where you do have to watch it. You know, especially those of us who budget. It's really easy to spend 25 here, 20 there, 5 there, 10 here, and by the end of the week you're like, oh, I can't feed myself.
I just spent $300. What happened?
Speaking of the guys from Punchline, I actually just did an interview, Tim, on Friday night with them, or was it last night with them? Yes.
Oh, cool. I'll have to check it out then.
Yeah, so yeah, they are great. Matt, I actually backed them. I actually was like backer 62, and HP let me know, and I just fell in love with the art. I'm like, oh my gosh, this thing is just unbelievable.
I need to show everyone. I'll show it tomorrow. But I met Matt Weldon last year. We were actually next to each other at a convention, and he drew the cutest Usagi Yojimbo. He knew I had a thing for rabbits, and so he drew Usagi Yojimbo as if he was like a real rabbit wearing like a kimono with a sword. And
nice.
And he gave that to me. And he used to draw cats. Like that's his big thing. Is he draws these cats that look really cool. But I actually didn't know he could draw people so well until I saw that. You know, the book Punchline. It's actually been pretty near to complete for I think a year. It's just that they couldn't find any funding for it. So
Really?
I'm actually I'm happy to see that.
And publishers turned them down. They shopped it. They said they shopped it at like 40 different publishers, and they all turned them down.
Good Lord, the art is incredible. He draws like Takeshi Miyazawa. I mean, it's great, good stuff.
Brian told me, Bill was telling me. He said the reason why they got turned down, nobody wanted superhero comics.
Oh my goodness!
Wow.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Okay. I don't know.
That kind of makes me. That kind of makes me mad.
What?
That's amazing. That was that. Okay.
Well,
that's the same reason I was getting turned down for about 4 years too.
Is it because they don't want cowboy comics? I mean, come on.
Cowboy or superhero. It doesn't matter which. Science fiction they didn't really want either. There wasn't an angle they'd look at my book and like, and it really bothered me.
You know, the example that I give people is most people forget that Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was an independent comic. It was not put out by Marvel or DC. It was put out by Mirage Studios, Eastman and Laird. And they took a ridiculous concept, and within a year, they created a franchise empire by this crazy idea of 4 turtles that are ninjas, and now it's in our common vernacular. You would think that these companies would want to take a risk with properties that are new and fresh IPs that haven't been touched before, but I don't know. Sometimes I feel like people who are in charge of making decisions like that, they're creatively bankrupt. They just don't know anything. They don't know something good when they see it.
A lot of them think that they could. Oh, sorry.
And speaking of, congratulations on being with him at a convention.
Oh, Matthew Weldon.
You're one of the guys from East Laird, I think.
Yeah. I was next to Kevin Eastman about 2 months ago. Yeah, 2 months ago I was with him in Utah, and I'm actually going to be with him again in a month.
Nice.
Yeah, I was in Utah. I was in Utah 2 months ago for a convention, Wasatch Con.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I'm just south of there, so.
Oh, okay. Don't touch my laptop.
Yeah.
And then I'll be with Eastman again in a month.
Yeah, that's the one I saw, and I was like, oh my god, I still got to congratulate him, and I just now remembered.
He's a nice guy. If you ever get a chance to meet Eastman, definitely take the time to do it if you can. Very, very nice person. He's one of those creators who, you know how they say don't meet your heroes. He's not going to disappoint you. He's really friendly in person, and he's just a professional to the core.
That is wonderful. We need more of those these days.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of them.
I was saying that about Steranko earlier. That when you meet him, he's just how you expected him to be. Just
crazy.
Cool. Yeah, he's really crazy. Like he just talks a mile a minute, but man, he's just like so cool. He's like the coolest dude. Anyway,
he's like the most interesting man in comics.
Seriously, like when you see that guy, the most interesting man in the world. That's freaking Steranko.
Yeah, that's him for sure.
He's got all the best stories too about Wally Wood and Joe Kubert. And...
You know those guys got up to stuff, man.
Oh
Yeah.
But it is 12:30, and I know you got to be at the Yellow Flash stream.
Yeah, I'm gonna get off here and go.
I'm probably gonna go watch that.
Well, yeah, they're gonna roast a movie. So, and I've never used this Discord before, so I need to figure this out too. But yeah, I'm gonna hop off here and go talk to them. But yeah, it was nice.
He's gonna hop off.
Absolutely. Hop off. Ba-dum-bum-ba-dum-bum. But it was nice talking to you guys, and like I said, if you guys are on a stream again and you want to invite me in, I'll be more than happy to join you guys. So have a good night.
Thank you.
Sorry I missed you.
Oh,
Have a great
absolutely,
night,
no
man.
problem. Yeah, have a good night. See you guys.
Take care.
Take care.
Okay, we already kind of did our. Yeah, he's great. Oh my gosh. I didn't know.
For a little bit I got, yeah, he does seem that way.
He's a solid bun.
I
awesome.
told you, you guys hold off the cool crap till after I leave.
Hey, Sean, don't worry about it. Hey, Sean, don't worry about it. I left.
Oh, Sean booped back in. Hi, Sean.
Oh,
Hey,
wow.
I was distracted by the bunny. I'm sorry.
I honestly, I was actually sitting here for a while. I was like, I don't see if they.
I get the feeling that people didn't notice I was gone.
No, I noticed you both were. Sean was back and Matt, you left. I saw your tweet.
Yep.
Yes. But no, it was one of those. I'm still. At least you still got the opportunity to meet Tim. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was great.
But
well, I'm gonna give my pitch, and then we can maybe break unless somebody else wants to say something.
I'm sorry. I already gave my pitch earlier, and it looks like Puppy needs to go to the bathroom. Yes, Miko, I'll be right there. So I'm gonna take him outside. You guys have a wonderful night.
Yeah.
Bye.
Great talking as always.
Yeah. All right. For those of you who are listening out there, this is Slick Jimmy. You're seeing me as Finn Saxon, but I do have a comic book coming out in a little while. We'll have a fundraiser in the fall. It'll be Little Girl Lethal with the protagonist Sugar Lightspeed. You might have seen some of her art floating around on Twitter. So look for that. We're going to have a lot of fun, a lot of sexy violence, and a lot of people getting chopped into pieces. So have a good night.
Alrighty.
Oh, yeah.
So,
And I get in just at the end.
Yep.
Yeah.
I gotta just tell you guys how awesome you are, real quick. When I hopped on the screen, Beatdown Girl was like at 1751, and now it's like at 1863. So you guys are amazing. So.
Nice.
Oh no,
We
glad to
appreciate you
help.
coming there, man.
Thank you.
Thank you. Great meeting you.
Yes. Well,
and good work on that. It's looking great,
Yes.
man.
Definitely.
Thank you.
So, yeah.
But nothing else. Like I said, a couple days going towards or going to your finish, which would be Monday and Tuesday, basically. We will do some long streams for you with you in, where you get to talk to people and push your comic. How does that sound?
That sounds wonderful, dude. I will see you then for sure. I want to catch this movie roast though. That sounds hilarious.
Yeah.
What movie roast? What are they doing?
Don't know.
I think it is the Plan from Outer Space 9 or something like that.
Yeah, the Edwin flick.
Yeah, so they're basically doing a MSTK3 thing.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yes. But
All right. Well, I'm out of here. You
All right.
care.
Same here,
All right.
guys.
Later.
Jacob, nice meeting you. Appreciate it.
See you,
Absolutely.
Sporkman. That was great.
Take care,
See you, Jack.
everybody.
Jacob, take care, buddy.
Yeah, see you,
Bye-bye.
Cody.
See you later.
Yeah.
all right, Dollar, your turn.
Okay. Yeah, I'm actually 12 subscribers away from 200. So yeah, if anyone hasn't dropped me a sub yet, if we can get the number over 200, I'll review some more books from the Thitties. So yeah, it's gonna be a good time. Just go check out Dollar Bin Reviews. If you see the bear, you know you're there. Yeah.
So,
I love that.
so it looks like I'm going to be doing 2 comic projects for this fall.
Nice.
One's going to be the sci-fi project that I've been pitching on Twitter. The other one's going to be more of a manga type fantasy story.
All right.
So which I'll probably be plugging later on. In more streams.
Word. All right, Sean, you want to give a final plug again, real quick?
Well, we got still looking for some funding for the Ferryman. We're looking towards getting the first stretch goal. Ferryman is a cyberpunk murder mystery story set in a future where the afterlife is big business and not the best idea in the world. So just give it a check.
All right. Well, I'm Bob Dolbot. Please like, subscribe, check out my Patreon. Look for Bob Dolbot. And yeah, I guess we'll call it quits for the night. And I think we're all tired, so y'all have a good night.
Yep,
Yeah,
you too.
yeah.
All right, you too, man.
Good night.
Good night.
All right.